So today I have with me the phenomenal Raymond Anyasi. Ray is a member of the committee of Society of Authors in Scotland. You're welcome, Ray. He's also one of Africa's most published authors with over 20 titles to his name, and the convener of the Rayani Creators Film Festival here in Scotland. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Okay, so first off, let's dive into the rave of the moment. Chinua Achebe's classic Things Fall Apart is coming to the screen. I mean, it's not the first time, but this time A24, Idris, Elba, David Oyole would have all come together and they are remaking this, and it's the buzz of the moment. How does that make you feel as an African creative?
Yeah, thank you very much. Quite interesting. Yes, when I first saw the news, the story about that, I felt it's excitement. I mean, it's for Christ's sake, it's Things Fall Apart. It's Things Fall Apart is the Moby Dick of Africa's literature. It's that institutional piece of work that sets the scene for a lot of other works to follow suit and have global attention. So when I saw the news, I was like, yeah, finally it's happening, because it's something a lot of us have always been looking forward to when this would happen for Things Fall Apart. Maybe because I guess it took this long because it's such a massive title, and so it has to be done right.
Okay, there's been lots of accolades for Things Fall Apart. BBC named it as one of 100 novels that shaped the world. The Encyclopedia Britannica called it one of the 12 greatest books ever written. And Time magazine has said that it is one of the best novels of the century. So I guess my question is, why now are we hearing that Idris Elba, who is not Nigerian, will most likely be playing our beloved Okonkwo? I mean, people are crazy. People are going crazy on the internet like, he's not going to be able to do it. Would he be able to do it? Should he be able to do it? And is this even sort of like cultural appropriation? I don't know how it's cultural appropriation. The day that I saw that one was like, how? But how does that tie into, African content being exported onto the global stage? What does that do for us? What does that do for the African market?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, we need to be very clear about one fact. Idris might be British, born in Britain, but I think I consider him African as well. I consider him someone who is connected to the African roots. If you watch Idris in Beast of No Nation,
yeah,
you would understand how much an actor he is, who puts himself into the character he's playing, and how he can represent just really any kind of character. I mean, that guy can be James Bond. He can also be Okonkwo. I think he can do it well. I think he would do justice to the character. Bear in mind, Okonkwo is, just as Things Fall Apart is one of the biggest, most prominent book ever written.
Yeah,
I think Okonkwo is one of the finest rounded character ever created in a novel. So, and I believe Idris would do justice to it.
Now, talking about Okonkwo, is Okonkwo a villain? Is he a hero? Is he an anti-hero? Someone said something, and I'll just paraphrase. He said it serves him right. It serves Okonkwo right, yeah, for someone who is not Igbo, who is not Nigerian, to play his character. That it's like, because his hatred,
yes,
of the white man, as depicted in the book, that it would be like sort of poetic justice, that he would turn in his imaginary grave, so to speak. Who do you perceive Okonkwo to be in the Igbo culture? He's someone that Oyibo man came into our land. He refused to let go of Omenala and Ordinala. And when the white men came and things were being changed around in his community, he stood up for what he thought was culture. He stood as a custodian of culture, even to the point of killing Achebe, the boy that calls him father. So he's someone that is very that holds tradition tightly. So to you, is he a hero? Is he a villain? Is he an anti-hero? In as our culture, as our African culture, as our Igbo culture continues to evolve, even in those days, because if you look at the book, you see that even his kinsmen weren't happy with him. He eventually ended up committing suicide, which the Igbos consider as an abominable act, as Nsala. But is his character justified? Is his person he's a very conflicted character, I think. So hero, villain, anti-hero. What is Okonkwo?
I think it's quite interesting. That's why I said he's one of the finest and rounded character created in a novel, because this conversation alone says it all. Now, I think when I was reading Things Fall Apart, I first read it as a 14-year-old at that time, and as a young boy who was, I would consider myself a bit Western, so sort of like in my worldview. I thought it was overdoing things. I did not get why it was what it was. However, growing up into a man, I began to see from his perspective, and I think if I am to answer the question of is he a hero or a villain, I would say, for what he represents, for the culture he represents, for the the absolute African originality of culture, I think Okonkwo was a hero.
You do?
Yes. Okay. And he died for it. He lived for it. He died for it. He would rather kill himself than see his culture fade away and see himself in the hands of taken prisoner by the colonialist. So in that sense, speaking purely from that sense, I think Okonkwo was a hero. I mean, Things Fall Apart, an icon of a book that it is was Africa's first response to colonialization, and Okonkwo was the character that was created to bear it all.
It's akin to the landing. The more you talk about this, the Igbo landing, you know the history of the Igbo landing. When they refused
in Atlanta and then
refused to be taken captive, refused to be taken into slavery, and preferred death. Marching straight on in chains into the water, preferred preferred to just die. That when I think of Okonkwo, that's what I think of. That defiant spirit, that spirit of I can never be chained, I can never be subjugated, I must stand tall. That is why people say Igbos don't like to be ruled by anyone.
In that aspect, he becomes a hero in the whole idea that Igbo cannot be tied down, Igbo cannot be enslaved.
Right. I have one final question for you today. If any Nigerian actor could make a cameo, who would you recommend, and what character would you have them play?
Interesting. I assume Okonkwo is out of the question.
Okonkwo is out of the question. I'm not going to do that. That's a cliche. Everyone has their hot takes on who should be Okonkwo. I think Stanza will totally kill it. But if any other Nigerian artist, a Nigerian actor, could star, whether a musician, whether an actor,
this guy, pardon me, I might not remember his name right now. The guy that acts A Breath of Life,
that acted Breath of Life.
Breath of Life, the guy that had asthma.
Chimezie.
I would put Chimezie to be Ikemefuna.
I can
he has that vibe of being loyal to Okonkwo, following him everywhere, calling him father and all that. I would put Chimezie in that role of Ikemefuna.
Thank you so much for coming, Raymond. And guys, continue to watch, subscribe, and if you haven't please subscribe to the channel for more wonderful content. And I hope that we will see you in the cinema one
Definitely. I mean, I hope we can even screen it at the Wayani Creators Film Festival. Who knows?
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.